तमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। When first time gramophone record was invented, they gathered a big group of scientists and the people who are in this electrical and electronics field to introduce the gramophone record. Max Muller was the chief guest, the person who translated the Vedas and the Upanishads. He was asked to speak in the gramophone. The moment he picked up the mic, he started chanting this mantra. The whole group expected he will tell some words in Germany or in English, or at least best of luck, best wishes, some words. But the person immediately, as soon as he picked up the mic, he recited the same sloka which I recited now, the same mantra. The whole group was shocked. First thing, Max Muller is not a Hindu. Second thing, none of them knows Sanskrit who are present in that group. But Max Muller recited this same mantra. Max Muller was questioned by the audience, why did you recite this mantra? He says, if there is something worth reciting in this planet Earth, if there is something which has to be remembered, which has got some worth to remember, there's only one thing, that this sloka. There is nothing else which is worth remembering. There is nothing else which is worth reciting on the planet Earth except this one mantra. He says, whatever can be said is said in this sloka. Whatever cannot be said can never be said. Whatever cannot be said can never be said. Whatever can be said is said in this one sloka. Let me give you the English translation, then I will try to comment. Om, that is whole, and this is also whole, for only the whole is born out of the whole, and when the whole is taken from the whole, behold, the remainder is whole. Om, peace, peace, peace. I can say one word about this sutra. If you understand this one sutra, whatever has to be understood is understood. Nothing else is necessary. If you understand this one sutra, because it is such a beautiful truth. According to me, the truth can never be said. The moment it is said, it becomes half-truth. Half-truth is much worse than a lie. Half-truth is much worse than a lie. But here, somehow, the Upanishadic mystics, they caught the truth in the words. I do not know how they caught. The whole words is created by the fiber called truth. The whole thing is made of a stuff called truth. There is no copper. I do not know how they managed to make a jewelry out of 24 karat gold. First time ever on the planet Earth, the truth is expressed as a truth only in the Upanishads. Anywhere else, some amount of copper has to be added. No other way. Some amount of copper has to be added. No other way. But here, first time, Upanishad Rishis have managed to catch the truth exactly in words. I do not know how they managed to get the whole thing in words. There is a small Zen story. One disciple goes to a Zen master and asks him, Master, will enlightened man speak? Master says, speaking. Only fools do that. Don't bother. Enlightened man can never speak. A man who has become enlightened, how can he speak? He asks, oh, then enlightened persons keep silence. They keep quiet, they remain in silence. Silence. Only ignorant people will be in silence. Enlightened man can never keep silence. A man who doesn't know, only he will be silent. How can enlightened man be in silence? Of course, just like you are, he is also puzzled. He asks the master, what are you talking? You say enlightened man will not speak, and you say enlightened man will not keep quiet also. And what will he do? Master says beautifully, enlightened man will sing. He will neither talk nor keep quiet, he will sing. His very being will be a poetry. His very sitting will be a dance. His very presence will be a miracle. His very being will be a poetry. He says, if you possess enlightenment, you can either keep quiet or speak. If enlightenment possesses you, then you can only do one thing, that is singing. Your whole being, enlightenment will sing through you, it will ooze through you. Your body language will radiate grace. Your very being will radiate art. Your very walking on the planet Earth will be a dance. Your very presence is a blessing. Enlightenment will sing through you. Not that you will sing, you will possess, or you will talk, or you will keep quiet. You can do nothing. You will become a simple hollow bamboo, empty flute, hollow bamboo. When you become a hollow bamboo, divine uses you as a flute. He says, enlightened man will sing. Upanishads are songs. They are not prose. They are mystical songs. Somehow these rishis have managed to catch the mystical truth in the purest possible form in these few sutras. I can say, especially this first sutra, the Purnamada Purnamidam, is 916. 916 gold. Nothing more can be added. Nothing can be deleted. Nothing can be deleted from it. Nothing can be added from it. That is whole, and this also is whole, for only the whole is born out of the whole. And when the whole is taken from the whole, behold, the remainder is whole. If you look superficially, it looks like a statement given by a man who doesn't know the basic arithmetic. Can you say there are 100 rupee coins? Can you say if a part of coins are removed from that part, again 100 rupees will be there? You can't say. But the Upanishad says, when the whole is removed from the whole, when the whole is taken from the whole, behold, the remainder is whole. Even if the whole is taken from the whole, what remains is whole. How can it be? Something confusing, paradoxical, illogical, looks very crazy, just like the cloth which you are wearing. Let me explain two kinds of reasoning started flourishing on this planet Earth. First kind of reasoning started in Greece. Second kind of reasoning started in the very land where you are sitting, the land of gods, Himalayas. These two kinds of reasoning, two ways of reasoning started getting developed on the planet Earth. The first thing is Greece, arithmetic, logic, the basic, simple logic. The second thing is mysticism, spirituality. One is Western, another one is Eastern. Western arithmetic, Western logic gave birth to all the philosophies Western philosophies, and all the science, all the maths, all algebra, whatever you do it with mind, with logic, with left brain, whatever you do with the left brain, chartered accountant work, all these things are given birth by the Greece, by the first kind of logic, first kind of reason, first kind of setup, first kind of method. The second thing was developed in the Himalayas, the place where you are sitting from this very land, the reason which we call mysticism, which we call intelligence, that is intellect, this is intelligence. First and fundamental difference between these two, you need to understand. In the Greek system, in the Western system, you collect the information, analyze it, segregate, and come to a conclusion. In the second Eastern system, the very first statement will be conclusion. First, conclusion. Then you go for argument, analyzing. Of course, we are all trained in the Western logical way. All our thinking system is Western logical way. So it is little difficult for us to understand the Eastern logic. Let me explain how the Western logic works and how the Eastern logic works. According to the Eastern rishis, truth can never be discovered by logic or by analyzing. Whatever we are supposed to understand, whatever we are supposed to realize, it is already the case. It is existing, it is present. You can only clear the doubts. For a small example, before Newton discovered the law of gravity, there was no law of gravity. Before the law was discovered, apples are falling down or falling up, raising up. Before the law discovered, what was there? The law, the gravitation force was there. Law was discovered. Law is useful to understand that force, that's all. Please be very clear. A law of gravity has not created the gravity on the planet Earth. Law of gravity only made you understand what is gravity. It has only made you to understand. The gravity was there already. Whatever we discover is already the case. It is present. It is eternal. It is nitya. You cannot discover anything which is not existing. You can only identify. You can only get more and more clearance. You can only get more and more intelligence. That's all. Nothing can be new. Everything is the case. Tatata, everything exists. Only thing you can get more and more clearance. This is the Eastern way of understanding. According to West, truth gets updated. Today, something is declared as truth. Just tomorrow, something is declared as truth. Just day after tomorrow, something is declared as truth. Just the other day, Einstein has been proved as a liar. Einstein has been disproved. The Einstein theory, E equal to mc square, has been disproved. Just the other day, some 3 months ago, through the latest discoveries, they proved the Einstein's theory is a lie. It is getting just updated. From science, from the way of logic, you can never come to the absolute truth. Because every day it is getting updated. One more thing. If tomorrow if it is going to be declared as untruth, can it be truth today? If tomorrow something is going to be untruth, how can it be truth today? Eternal truth can never be realized, can never be understood by science. Absolute truth can never be experienced or expressed by logic. It only can show step by step. For example, in the pitch dark, in a forest, you are trying to walk with a small lamp. The lamp sheds light only to a few feet. So you are trying to walk. You can see only the patch, few feet, and after that, you can see one more patch. 95% is unseen. Only a small portion is seen, not 99% is unseen. Only a small portion is seen. So whatever you are seeing, from that you come to some conclusion. But within a day, within 24 hours, you just move few feet ahead. Then your conclusion gets updated. Your conclusion changes. Yesterday what you declared as truth, today the same thing becomes a lie. So continuously, truth is getting updated in science. If you work through logic, if you think through logic, if you move behind the Western philosophy, the philosophy of Greek, the reason of Greek, truth can never be reached. It will only get updated. It will only get more and more complicated. A small story. One day, Nasruddin came back to his house after drunk fully. As usual, wife was very angry, shouting at him, throwing things upon him, and finally she shouted, "Just yesterday you took a promise, you gave me the promise that you will not drink once more. You will never do the same mistake. What you have done? What is happening?" He just calmly replies, "No dear, you should not leave your mind as it is. You should continuously update your intelligence. I am updating my intelligence. Naturally, I have to update my conclusions." Somebody asked him his age. He says, "My age, 41. They asked, "What is this? 5 years ago I asked your age. That time also you said only 41. Now you say again 41. He says, "I don't change my words." If you don't change your words, you will be just a kid. If you don't change your words, you will be just a kid according to the logic of Greek, according to the logic of Western mind. Things get updated. Today something is true, tomorrow something else is true. It's going beyond your control. Nothing can be ultimate, nothing can be absolute based on the Western logic. But here in the East, 2500 years ago, Buddha declared something. 1200 years ago, Shankara declared something. 2300 years ago, Mahavir declared something. But all these things are taken as a truth even today. What Krishna has declared, what Shankara has declared, what Mahavir has declared, what Buddha has declared, all these things are taken as a truth. How can it be? That is the reason the Western intellect is totally getting frightened to see the Eastern mysticism. They are afraid. According to them, truth has to be continuously updated. But here, we speak the same thing which Shankara spoke. I am speaking to you the same thing which Upanishad Rishis have told millions of years ago. So they are afraid. How can truth be saved? How can the things be saved? How can truth be absolute? How can truth be eternal? These truths are never discovered with a small lamp. They are discovered, they are realized in the flash of lightning. In a small lamp, you can see only few feet, but in the flash of lightning, you can see the whole forest. These rishis have seen the whole forest in a moment. These truths are the realization, are the expression of the experience which we call no mind, void or devoid from thoughts. It is a state in which they get a flash of lightning. In the flash of lightning, you can see the whole forest. Whole forest can be seen by you. Whatever they are seeing, they just jot it down. Then they go for argument. In the Western system, step by step, they use the lab, go around, collect the information, and then they come to a conclusion. Visualize. You take a small lamp and get into the forest. First, whatever you see, you note it down. After 10 steps, again whatever you see, you note it down. Same way, you go around the forest. Can your collection be the totality of the forest? Can your collection express the totality of the forest? No, never. But if you have seen the forest in one flash of lightning, and then you jot it down, will it be anything else than forest? It will totally explain the forest. Because you have seen the whole thing in one flash. Truth has to be realized in one single moment. If it is not, be very clear, it is not truth.